So how does that work with the drug use? Because your character is a huge addict. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys use like powdered sugar or how does
Vitamin
that
C powder.
work? Okay. And how does that affect like the body when you're doing that?
I am so suggestible that I think and honestly, I think I rubbed cocaine on my gums once in the 80s. I don't, but I'm so suggestible. I would do that and I'd be like, I was high.
Welcome back to the Locked In with Ian Bick podcast. On today's episode, I am so excited. I got to sit down with Patricia Kalember. She plays Kate Egan from the hit Starz TV show Power. And you know I already had Gianni Paolo on the show from Power, so I had to get Patricia on the show to talk about that, her acting career, the roles she's played, and it was just an all-around amazing conversation with an absolute legend in the acting world. Thank you to all of our listeners and all of our supporters that support Locked In continuously and help make us a top 200 podcast in the world for society and culture. We would not be here without you guys. So without further ado, sit back, relax, get comfortable, and get ready to lock in with Patricia Kalember. Patricia, welcome so much to Locked In.
Yes.
A fellow Connecticut resident.
Yes.
Who would have thought you'd be 25 minutes away from the studio?
I know. I love it. Are you kidding me? I hardly ever go into the city. I'm going in Sunday for Rachel McAdams, the opening of her play.
Oh, awesome.
But other than that, you got to drag me into New York.
I was reading somewhere that you have done a little bit of musical theater, too.
Not musicals. I think I did one musical in high school. But, yeah, I do a lot of theater. The last play I did, I played Gloria Steinem in the one-woman show Gloria.
Okay.
I took over for Christine Lottie in New York, and then I did it at ART in Boston.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and then pandemic.
Oh, yeah. I did a little musical theater in high school every year.
Did you really?
I was not a sports kid.
No, come on. What show?
I did Annie Get Your Gun.
Okay.
I did Hairspray.
Okay.
I did Urinetown. Have you heard of that one?
Nice. Oh, please. I know the Tony Award winner from Urinetown, Spencer Caden, I worked with.
Oh, really? What a small world.
Yeah.
And then what was the last one I did? I did Hairspray, Urinetown. Footloose was my last one senior year.
Hysterical. Who did you play in Footloose?
I was one of the guys that was with, it wasn't a main role because I was never really a good singer.
Yeah.
But it did have some speaking parts, and it was one of the guys that was like the, what was it? I think it started with an F.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a part.
I played a housewife in Damn Yankees. You know what I mean? I still remember the song. But you have the most baby face I've ever seen in my life. You did spend time.
Yeah.
How much time?
I did almost 3 years. It was a 36-month sentence, and I did about 28 months.
Do you talk about why?
Yeah, that's what I built my platform on. I sat in my car a couple years ago just telling TikToks about prison, why I went to prison, and there's this whole infatuation with people who went to prison on TikTok and YouTube, and it just exploded.
And there you go.
That's how I met Gianni, because I DM'd him on TikTok after he followed me, and he's like, dude, I love your content. Because never would we have connected in this world if it wasn't for that. And he just watches the videos.
That's great.
Yeah, so basically I owned a club in Danbury, Connecticut called Tuxedo Junction.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but it used to be a famous rock club. And then I kind of took it over. They had Oasis play there, a bunch of people, kind of like Toad's Place in New Haven.
Okay.
And I started out as a teen promoter there, eventually became the owner, and I did huge acts like Steve Aoki, Big Sean, Tyga, all of these different names. And basically I overpromised, underdelivered, and got way too in over my head, took investment money, and I was 18.
Dang.
So instead of telling the truth and saying that they lost money, I said that they made money when they didn't. And once that started, I just kept telling a string of lies. And
I'm so sorry.
that got me into a ton of trouble. I was just always super ambitious, and I was,
What a way to learn, though.
It was the best learning experience ever. I never went to college. I've always just been a hard-working kid.
I don't think you have to go to college.
No, I don't think so either. Mm-mm. Did you go to college?
I did. I graduated in 3.5 years because I got a BA in theater. Mm-hmm. And then I followed a boyfriend to grad school, to Temple University, and didn't audition for Juilliard or Yale any of the other ones because I was told the program wasn't as good. I wasn't just an idiot. So I spent 2 years at Temple and then got a job in a regional theater, and they wouldn't give me time off to do a play to get my equity card. And I said, "What? This is a professional acting training program, and you're not going to." So anyway, I got my MF.
What do you say to most individuals that are going to like theater school or acting school? Do they need that in today's world?
That is a really good question. I would always tell people, A, get an education, and I don't care how you get it, books or whatever, because the smarter you are, the more your world is open, the more you can use your intellect to figure out who people are. Because I think that's our job. Our job is to not only have an instrument that is able to just be flexible and tell people who we are, but an intellect to sort of go, oh, that's who that person is. Even if you only study psychology, just to figure out what that is and be able to speak and move and change your voice, and that training is useful. To actually know how to be an actor or to have talent, I don't know if you can learn that. I don't think you can.
Yeah, I did when I did musicals, there's a local college, WestCon here, and they had a theater department, and I would always volunteer and be in shows with the college kids, and there's hundreds of people in this theater department and acting program, and I wonder what the stats are of how many actually get
Probably
to a
2 or
career.
3%. I mean, really, really small.
Yeah.
And even in the business, like I've learned over the years, I can spot people. There are people that you can just spot, and you watch them go, and it's kind of cool. That's a gift. That's just somebody that gave you a singing voice that came from God. It's a gift.
And now there's this whole world of technology too, where you can become
AI.
Yeah, or even an influencer or an actor in a way, because this is like performing, podcasting, going on TikTok to a certain extent.
I know.
Yeah.
You know what? I blame the Kardashians for a lot. I really do. I blame them for global warming. I blame them, and God bless them. They're ambitious, and I love them. I love them all. But
Yeah.
I don't know about the whole influencer thing. It's a weird way to make money.
What do you think about podcasters in that industry?
You know what? I'm not into them enough so there you are. You're great.
Thank you.
I have no beef against podcasts.
No, I'm so fascinated what like someone who's been in the industry for so long thinks of today's world with podcasting, because you have people emerging in that are now becoming A-listers in that world.
I know. I had my daughter and I, because we were going to talk about cooking, because I know you were a caterer. I worked at a pastry shop in Louisville in between semesters at years at college. So I'm a lifelong, I love cooking. And my daughter was trying to get sort of a multi-generation cooking show going. We were meeting people out in LA. And this one producer went, all right, I looked at your mom's Instagram. She's got 300 followers. What the hell is that? She goes, you know, she could have so many more, and it would actually help you get a deal. And I went, what? So I apologized to my friends, and I said, I'm going to be posting more now because it's part of the business.
Yeah. Yeah, do you think you need an Instagram now with your role and everything?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. It helps promote. And there's so much content out there that people don't know power. Mm-hmm. People don't know about force. And so you kind of have to advocate for yourself.
Yeah, it is fascinating that like so many people know, but so many people don't at the same time. And it's such a great show.
I know.
Like it's literally my favorite TV show. I think out of all of them, Kanan's a little slow for me in the beginning.
Yeah.
Raising Kanan, but now it's sped up, and the last season was
and Patina Miller.
So great.
Come on.
Oh yeah, she is amazing.
She's like amazing.
Yeah, but I mean, all of us here agree. Force takes it too.
Oh yeah.
I'm upset they canceled Ghost though.
I know.
That was upsetting.
I know they're on the end. There were financial concerns this year because of the strike, and the studios all sort of imploded, and there wasn't content, and so and once you get to third or fourth year, there are written in bump ups for the regular people, and the studio just didn't want to. I think that's how Ghost got canceled. They just didn't want to pay
Yeah, and from what I've seen, some of the actors didn't even know it was going to get canceled, unless that was kind of like a
I
show.
know.
I
don't know. I don't think they did. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, you never
and
know.
it changes. You know, it changes. It's a business. The minute the business model took over content and they're answering to shareholders, that is the perpetual, conflict.
Yeah.
Constant.
Absolutely. Now, you grew up in Connecticut, or you split your time?
No, you know what? I did for a little bit. I spent 3rd to 6th grade in Connecticut.
Okay.
And the rest of the time in Louisville, Kentucky.
Why Louisville?
Got out. My dad worked for GE.
Okay.
So we moved around a lot. And then, oh my God, can you imagine Westport to in the middle of 6th grade to Louisville, Kentucky.
So random.
And there I am in my little, my little Westport dress. And I think one kid who was the dentist's son, called me a whore my first week at school. And I was 11. I mean, I remember all of this. So for me, I got back to the East Coast as soon as I could.
How do you think it affected you socially and development in that sense when you moved in the middle of that? Because those are detrimental years.
They are. I learned how to get along. I learned how to spot if somebody was going to come for me and to diffuse it as best as I could. I learned how to do that.
And, so many people that watch your stuff probably don't even realize that you were picked on and bullied too. And I think that makes it relatable.
It sounds like wah, wah, wah. I know. But honestly, especially if you look a certain way, you have to be really careful.
Yeah.
And I still work at diffuse. I mean, God, I'm whatever and craggy. But I still, when I was younger, I would work at diffusing.
Okay.
If I got a sense from another woman, I got really good at making friends and being friendly.
And did you move back before high school or?
No, I had to get through high school.
Out in Louisville.
Mm-hmm. And then I went to Indiana University, of all places, and then went to Philly, to Temple, and I've just been working my way east.
And now you're finally here.
Ever since now I'm here, and I would never live anywhere else. I love it here.
When you film, is it mostly in New York City?
Yeah. Although now, Atlanta, New York, Chicago, we film for us in Chicago. So, yeah.
Gotcha. Did you know you wanted to become an actor at an early age, or did that develop over time?
I think I always did, but I was very, very shy, which is another cliche.
But you're not shy anymore.
Yeah, no. I think I'm an extrovert introvert.
Okay.
I can do the Queen Mom, but it takes a while to get to the other stuff.
I feel like I can relate to that a lot because in social settings, I'm not really the best. But when I have to be, it's like a switch when it turns on,
right.
You just go because that's part of it.
Right.
And you have to. You
right.
can't just if you got here and I'm shy and don't want to talk to you, I'm not doing my job.
No. And if you can ask people about them, it just makes for a much more pleasant experience,
What did your parents think about your career choice?
They thought it was cute. I was going to do pre-law at Vanderbilt. I was accepted to Vanderbilt. And at the last minute, I did the high school play. I did Guys and Dolls.
Okay.
Probably my last time I ever, no, that and, remember I told you, Damn Yankees. But I played Miss Adelaide in a really bad blonde wig in Guys and Dolls. And that was it for me. That's all I wanted to do.
I used to wear the blonde wig. They always put me as Milton Berle in acting camp, and I would go out on stage in the full lipstick,
nice.
High heels, and everything.
Nice.
And then I did Ed Sullivan a few times. And
fun.
Yeah, they always gave me the quirky roles, and I just owned it, and I loved it.
Do you miss doing it? Do you miss acting?
Yeah, I feel like with TikTok, making videos, that kind of is it because you have to put on energy and whatnot. And we also started last year this cooking show called Commissary Cookoff.
Oh, we're going to have to talk.
Absolutely. Where my logic was people would come do the interview with me, people that went to prison all over the country, and then we would battle it out and make the best prison food using commissary items.
That's fantastic.
It then escalated into, okay, what if we took people that never went to prison? So we have my dad out there who's turned 79 this year cooking up a storm against people that
have tattoos, were in gangs, this and that, and they were cooking.
Love that. I imagine ramen is that's like the number one.
Ramen and mackerel. I made them eat mackerel. Yeah, because you put it on the pizza, you put it on nachos.
Of course, it's like anchovies.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good if you season it.
Yeah.
And it's like it tastes a little like chicken, so guys would just eat it right out of the pouch.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so we did that, and there's like 10 episodes of it on YouTube. They did pretty well.
I'll look.
Yeah, I'll send you the link. But the problem with it was with YouTube, a 10-minute clip and on 10,000 views, it's too much to produce for
I see.
what you're making.
You're not getting a bang for your buck.
But we've been sitting on it for a year now, and now we're starting to bring it back alive now that I have a platform. And we have a whole upstairs. We might turn it into a studio for it or pitch it around.
Fantastic.
We'll see. Yeah, we actually had Kim Kardashian's co-host on the show who did one of those crime series. And she said she's looking for a new cooking show. And I was like, oh, we got this Commissary show because she's in the re-entry space and whatnot.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's so fun. So that brought out the acting in me because you have to perform. I was like the host of it. And it was just so, dropping lines and stuff. And then when I do my talks at prisons and organizations, I tell the stories about my time in prison in kind of like a very dramatic way.
Yeah.
And that kind of brings it out too, because it's like a performance.
Do you know, I'm sorry, I really, the little man parachuted out because in my brain, I'm thinking about things to do with mackerel. See, that's how I roll. I'm like, wow, you could chop it up. If you had lamb chops, you could chop it up with some garlic and sort of do like
you would put that on lamb chops?
French. Yes, if you dice it really thin, anchovies really thin with garlic and rosemary and olive oil, you rub it on lamb, it's fantastic because it melts, the flavor of the anchovies melt into the lamb. Okay.
That's a great idea. We would take the oil to fry rice in the microwave because we had dehydrated rice.
Oh.
So we didn't have, some places didn't have olive oil. So you drain the soybean oil that has that mackerel flavor, drain it in,
I bet that was
fry it up.
fantastic.
Excellent. And it on nachos, my friends always think it's disgusting, but I'd put nachos on the mackerel on a cold nacho. Nice. Best dish I ever had.
Nice.
And on a pizza.
Nice.
I know. People
Even with
doubt
cheese,
that.
though, I got to say, the fish and cheese thing is a little like...
Yeah, but when you have fish and chips sometimes and there's like
that's
cheese,
true, but no cheese.
Not even like, I've seen people kind of dip, I think.
In cheese?
Yeah, and they would like the fillet of fish too. At McDonald's, they have the piece
They
of
do
yellow
have a
American.
slice of yellow cheese on that fillet of fish, don't they?
My dad loves the fillet of fish.
I used to too as a kid. I was the only one that did.
Remember when they had grilled cheeses at McDonald's? Do you remember those times? Yeah, they used to have them back in the day, and you can order them. I think it was just 2 hamburger buns with the melted cheese, to be honest with you.
God, and what? That's not even cheese.
Yeah, and I miss Duchess, too. They had a great...
Duchess was good. In the South, we had Bob's Big Boy.
Okay.
You know, that big checkered fat thing holding a platter of burgers. Have you ever seen that icon?
Wait, is that changed to a different chain now?
I think it did. Shoney's now or something like that.
Because I think I know that same look that you're talking about.
But that used to be Bob's Big Boy.
Okay.
And they had a fish sandwich that was like basically 2 pieces of fried fish on it was so good.
Have you ever been offered like a cooking show or anything like that?
No, I haven't. And it's weird because I've been like sort of pushing. I'm working on a cookbook.
Okay.
I'm about halfway through, but I don't have Ina Garten's staff, you know, that goddess, because she tests all of her recipes. So I'm sending recipes out to friends to have them test because I want to make sure they work before I get going. But my whole thing is like, I don't want people following recipes. I want them to look at their pantry and go, oh, this goes with this and this goes with that. And here's the method. Like if you're going to make a chicken paillard, then here are the different ways that you can do it. I keep banging this. It's terrible.
Oh, you can move that onto the table.
Yeah. Oh, God. No, I keep banging the microphone.
Oh, okay.
That once you have the process, you can add whatever flavors you want. You can do Mediterranean. You can do... So anyway, that's my goal.
You got to send us some recipes. I'm sure my dad would
I
love
will.
it. He's the king of cookbooks. He has literally hundreds.
I'll send him what I got. Right now it's weeknight meals, and I'm just starting because I started a pie business for a while.
Really?
Yeah,
that's
I did.
So cool.
There were no Southern pies up here. You couldn't get a good chess pie. You couldn't get a decent pecan pie. So I did that for a while until one Thanksgiving, I was like banging out 100 pies. and myself in a triple oven. And one of them broke at 3 a.m. and I just sat on the floor and cried and went, why am I doing this?
Just out of your house?
Out of my house.
Wow.
100 pies. What was I thinking?
Was this during COVID? Like when you had the
No,
time?
this was like 15 years ago. And my husband wandered down and went, I can't help you. And then went back to bed.
Wow.
It was crazy.
Incredible.
That's when I realized I would rather sell a book instead of banging out pies.
And along the way, you were in acting too, and doing kind of everything. Very well versed between everything.
Yeah. No, I like to keep busy.
Do you remember the first role you were ever casted in, where you were like, "Wow, this is incredible! Like I'm actually doing something now."
Gosh, yes. Actually, I was a freshman at IU, and they cast me right away, and I ended up doing major roles right away. I went to the Utah Shakespeare Festival the first summer, and they cast me in a lead, and I was only an apprentice. And that's when I went, oh, I might be okay. This might be okay. But then in the real world, I really had trouble getting traction because I didn't go to Juilliard or Yale. So soap operas were sort of where I was. And I was in the original, do you remember Loving? Mm-mm. You don't remember it? It was an original.
I'm 28.
I know, you're so young. It was an original soap opera by Agnes Nixon, who created All My Children and blah. It was a big deal. Bryan Cranston.
Oh, I know him.
Played my boyfriend in it. And we were both fired. He got fired first, and then I got fired shortly after, just because, I don't know, we just didn't want to do soaps. We were trying to actually act.
Yeah.
But I ran into him recently, and he was like, yep, yeah, I remember that one. I remember.
That's funny. Did you watch Breaking Bad?
Oh, yes.
Are you into like crime, drug shows, anything like that at all?
Breaking Bad. Oh, well, I'm watching Shogun right now.
I've never heard of that. What is that
Shogun
on?
is on FX, and there's only the first 9 have shown, and it's actually the most amazing acting I've ever seen. So you should check it out. But crime shows, yeah, I mean, SUV you can turn on in the middle, and you're engaged. It's right away. My aunt used to call it her murder shows. Just don't bother me. I'm watching my murder shows.
Yeah, it's like Criminal Minds you could pick up anywhere. Oh, any of these shows.
Totally.
I grew up on Criminal Minds. I love that.
Totally. Do you like that? Is that your
Yeah, it really depends. Right now I'm in a Survivor kick, so I've been watching Survivor a lot.
Oh,
We picked up on that because that's one of those things. And I'm not really into reality TV, but that...
cooking shows?
I'll do some cooking shows.
Okay.
I love Kitchen Nightmares, Hell's Kitchen. I don't know if you consider that like a cook. I'm sure you have an opinion on that, but...
Listen, Gordon Ramsay can do no wrong. Seriously.
I like the energy in it. We grew up on that, you know?
I'm addicted to Next Level Chef. I mean, it's just, and it's all, my favorite is that, and Great British Baking Show, you've got 30 minutes to make like a pavlova, and you're just going, this is not real. I can't imagine doing this for it chopped too. I'm like, did they really take 30 minutes?
Yeah, my dad got asked to go on Chopped, and he ultimately said no because he said it wasn't his thing, like his style of cooking, like under that. And then last year, a casting agent reached out, and they wanted me and my dad on a new Gordon Ramsay thing. And then they ultimately said, and I think it's because of the felony on my record, they were like, we just want your dad. And he's like, I'm not going to do it without my son.
We just want your
That's what they said. They were like, yeah, so we're not going to go with you, but will your dad do it? Can you get him to do it?
And what did your dad say?
He's like, absolutely not. It was a package deal or nothing.
Good for him.
I got reached out to like once a week by casting agents just for silly stuff.
That's fantastic.
I had quit my job when they reached out to me to do a dating show overseas in Europe.
Yes.
And I think I found out what show it was because they never said it. Didn't turn out to be a dating show. It's a show called Trust that just premiered on Netflix.
Is it the one that's blind? Are they blindfolded?
And some parts of it they are.
Okay.
So this is where
or somebody's behind a wall or...
Oh, that's
No,
Love
that's
is Blind. Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
just finished that too. I watched the newest season.
Okay.
But Trust is where there's like 12 or 13 people that get put on this island or whatever in another country, and there's $250,000 in the pot, and people vote each other out and stuff, and the last like 3 or 4 or whatever get a piece of the share, and they split it equally. But you're
That's
finding
quite
out.
bad. Is it pizza?
No,
and
a piece-
$250,000.
Yeah, a
Forgive
piece of
me.
the $250,000. And people vote people out behind their back. You don't know who votes for who. It's a trust game. And that fit the description of what they pitched me on for the show. And I had quit my job for that because I had a viral TikTok.
Yeah.
And they saw me. They said I got to like the last stage of the casting thing and then never heard from them again. So then I got stuck making TikToks about prison. And now here we are with the podcast.
Here you are.
I know.
They did you a solid.
Oh, it was the best thing that could have ever
They
happened
did you
to
a
me.
solid. My cousin is on a reality, Summer House?
Yeah, of course. Paige DeSorbo.
Carl
Okay.
Radke is a cousin. He's one of my,
That's awesome.
he's a relative, yeah. And I remember when he got the job, because my cousin, Billy, his dad, was saying, what do you know about this? You're in the business. What do you know about all this reality stuff? And I said, well, I mean, if he wants to parlay it into other stuff, it's kind of, where we are right now. And then my daughter said, I'm related to Carl Radke. Years later, and I went, yes, yes, you are.
So is he in Summer House, like the show?
I think he is, yeah. He's one of the guys.
Okay, gotcha. Is it seasonal or are they reoccurring people?
I think he was one of the original, and I don't think it's seasonal. I think they follow the same people.
Gotcha.
I haven't really.
Yeah. Do you watch it at all? I know like Hannah
I haven't
Berner.
I watched the beginning,
Okay,
but no.
gotcha. And do you ever go to the Richfield Playhouse for shows at all?
I haven't yet, but yes, I hear it's great.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up because Hannah Berner was on Summer House or is on Summer House, and she just performed there.
What did she do?
She's a comedian too.
Oh, fantastic.
For like the younger crowd.
So she did a set.
She did a set. Yeah, they've been having some good names. They have Tracy Morgan
Right.
coming next week. They had
I know
Tom.
Willie Nelson came like last year,
Really?
right?
Oh.
Wasn't he there?
I'm not sure. My dad's like one of the caterers on the in-house caterers for Richfield Playhouse.
So much to talk about.
Yeah. Oh, you'll hit it off with him. He's so passionate about food. He works out of the Elks Lodge down the road on Stars
Okay.
Plain. When you're going to Whole Foods on Route 7.
Yeah.
It's right there on the right. And
Amazing.
he works out of that kitchen.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's we're very passionate about food. I started at working front of the house. I always
Yeah.
thought being a waiter is where you made the money. And then I got so passionate in the back of the house because not everyone can do it. So like the
Yes.
strongest survive. And I started out making pizzas, learned how to make pizzas,
Yeah.
and then worked in restaurants and just and then started working in the kitchen with him.
How
And I love cooking and
Hard
throwing
work.
things together. A lot of hard work.
hard work. People think, oh, I want to be a chef.
Mm-hmm.
You better get some good shoes. Hard work.
I was a baker in prison too.
Were you really?
Yeah, we would make fresh
What was your
donuts.
go-to? What would you make? Donuts?
We had to follow their recipes for the most part, but we made fresh pizza dough. We
Good.
made fresh donuts. We made fresh bagels.
Nice.
Because some of these prisons have fresh scratch bakeries, like the Danbury Federal Prison.
Yeah. That's a nice one, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I'm super curious about that because you were in Orange is the New Black.
I know.
I looked at your IMDb and I was like, she was in Orange is the New Black. It's such a small world.
I know.
And you
I know.
played
Nikki's mom.
Nikki's mom.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, did you guys film? Did you guys go into the Danbury prison at all?
We were not there.
Okay.
There was an abandoned prison that we would film at in Jersey.
Okay.
In Jersey. Be there for days on end.
Inside of it.
Yeah, and out. Yeah.
Did you guys go to a real prison before to get the feel for how to operate?
I don't know if they did. I don't know. I bet they did. Mm-hmm. I imagine they did. That was an amazing show. Put Netflix on the map.
Yeah, I made it through 4 seasons. The last season was a little tough. It kind of went off.
It veered off?
It veered off.
That happens.
When they left the prison.
Yeah.
I think that's what did it for me. But that was a show. I was on a contraband phone in prison, and I'd watch that on my bunk. I'd switch between Orange is the New Black and Power.
And Power.
And
Those were your
Power.
two.
Yeah, my bunkmate who was doing 15 years
Yeah.
for selling drugs in Brooklyn, he woke me up one morning at like 4 a.m. and he's like, hey, we have a good correctional officer, come downstairs. And then I go downstairs to this packed room because there's only one officer
Yeah.
to 400 inmates, and they're all sitting in there at 4 a.m. on a Saturday, and one of them pops out an SD card and then puts it in the back of the TV, and the first episode is Power. And we started it from Power season 1 all the way through. I made it through all the seasons. It was incredible.
Wow.
They love it to this day. So all my followers and whatnot, when they saw Gianni came on the show, and now when they see you, they're going to be like, oh my God.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I just loved the universe. I loved the show. I loved the crew. It's incredibly diverse. It's a great. I will be forever grateful to 50 and to Courtney for giving me the chance to play. You know, because not everybody gives me the chance to play.
Yeah.
They look at things I've done and they'll go, "You're going to do that."
How did that come about for Power?
I just auditioned for it.
Okay.
And then they called me back, and the audition was great because Courtney was like, "So who is this? What do you think this person is?" And I just started riffing. I figured, and now, of course, I really have a strong idea of who she is. This is somebody who gave birth at 14, you know, and hated her mother. And I'm like, oh, abuse. Of course, there was sexual abuse, and her mother probably didn't believe her. And I think I was a stripper for a while, and I think the drugs just sort of came along with it. And what I love so much about the character, though, I heard somebody describe her as somebody you really want to have margaritas with, but check your wallet when you leave. Man. Yes, that's exactly who that person is.
Now, when you play a character like that, do you develop as a person as that character develops too?
I think if you open yourself up to that kind of stuff, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's, I think the great thing about being an actor is there, hopefully, less judgment, you know, less that people are this way. And I feel like now it's really hard to not judge because we are so at each other's throats. And I have to really make myself go, well, that's the kind of information they're getting. And so that's probably where that's coming from. And that anger is coming from here. And that's, it's really good to remember.
Yeah. When you were reading for the role, did you understand who the character was? I know you just said you had it spot on, but do they tell you that in advance?
No.
Okay.
It just sort of all developed. But Joe and I read together. They wanted me to audition with him, and we just started improvising. And at one point, I think I was sitting in his lap, you know, just treating him like, you know, I'm the baby and he's not. And it was just that dynamic. It's just that's the dynamic of that. She loves him, but then again, he reminds her too much of he reminds her too much of herself. So there's a self-loathing that goes along with that, which is why she's so fucking hard on him.
Yeah.
And so great with the son that's not really her biological son. This idea of, you know, ghost being all that, because it's not a reflection of me.
Yeah. That's incredible.
Right?
Is Joe the same as he is on set? Like, I've realized that with Gianni. The Gianni's like what you get on TV.
Yes. No. Joe is like, I literally will have people, like, they don't believe that I'm the character, and I have to do the voice for them. I literally, I'll be like, yeah, what the fuck are you talking about? Of course I talk like that. What is the matter with you? They're like, oh, now I believe you. Thanks. Joe's a really, really, really fine actor.
Yeah.
Really fine actor. He comes to play. Mm-hmm. And if you've got somebody that comes to play that didn't figure out all their bits like in a mirror at home, holy mackerel, it's such fun.
When you were seeing some of I think something that's unique about Power is that they're not afraid to kill off huge names. Were you ever worried about that? And when you first got casted?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I had the executive producer call me and say, you're ODing, but you're not going to die. He called me right before I read it. And I went, okay, all right.
So how does that work with the drug use? Because your character is a huge addict. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys use powdered sugar, or how does
Vitamin C powder?
Okay, and how does that affect the body when you're doing that?
I am so suggestible that I think and honestly, I think I rubbed cocaine on my gums once in the 80s. I don't, but I'm so suggestible. I would do that and I'd be like, I was high.
Does it
such
hurt?
A weenie. No.
Okay.
No, it really doesn't. It really doesn't.
And they just cut it up right there in front? And then wow.
Yep.
I've always been curious how that works, if they're actually physically snorting it or whatever.
Oh, no, you do. Yeah, they would do close-ups of the stuff going up, you know, so you had to.
Do you think playing a character like that gives a younger audience a bad idea when they see someone that's going through that?
That's a good question. I don't know. That's a really good question. No. I mean, people that love Kate want her to get sober. Mm-hmm. I don't think she necessarily gives a great example of how to go through life.
She does try, though, in some parts.
I think that's what's so great is about her, is that, yeah, she's doing her best.
I interview a bunch of addicts in recovery that have overcome it, and her character is literally a spitting image of how these individuals were over their time.
Wow.
When they explain it, and they want so badly to get sober and to become a new person. You kind of see that in your character this past season that had come out last year. You see that with her, that she's trying, and you're kind of always getting temptations, and it's hard. And just one emotional trigger can send you back to the deep end.
Yep. I mean, I had someone describe it to me like, okay, let's pretend that all the oxygen in the room is behind that door. And that's what it's like. I think it takes an enormous amount of I don't know what, to be able to kick it. And my hat goes off to anybody that manages to get healthy. It's not easy. And relapse is part of it. Healing in anything is never linear. Never.
Yeah. What did you have to study for a role like that? Did they have former addicts kind of coach you at all?
I know. You know what? I've been around enough. Just I raised kids.
Yeah.
I've got, I've seen.
Gotcha.
I've seen. I worked with people that would run to the bathroom. They'd be really angry, and then they'd run to the bathroom and be back. They're ready to go, and I'm like, oh man, oh man.
Yeah. Do you enjoy playing roles like that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. You get away from yourself. I mean, it's part of yourself. And I've said this before. It's like if I ever meet an actor who gets a script and says my character would never do that, I don't ever want to work with that actor ever again, because you can't. Human beings are so freaking surprising and scary that why would you block that off? Why wouldn't you try to find a way to justify what they're asking you to do in the manner of your character? And so anyway.
When did you learn that and have that idea about doing that?
Just over the years.
Okay.
Just over the years. You learn what you enjoy. Like I said, if you're working with somebody that comes to play, if you're working with somebody that's basically a wood that has figured out all their choices, and they're looking at you and they're listening and and it's fine on the other side of the camera, but it's no fun to play with. Rather than working with somebody that's like, okay, what do you got? Oh, that's great. Let me do this back. It's awesome.
What do you think is your favorite set or character you've played or show you've worked on?
Gosh, people ask me that. My goodness. I really did love, and you're too young. Oh my God, I lost some hair. 30-something. I really did love the character on 30-something.
My dad was just talking about that.
She was great. Everybody hated her. They hated her. And it was somebody that was very cold and very brusque. And I decided it was somebody that was incredibly painfully shy to the point where they're arrogant. Yeah. You figure that and you go, oh, yes, okay. That's how I'm going to do it. And it if you can get that, that's great. I love Kate. I'll play Kate forever. I said to Gary, all right, I'm only in 2. Well, let me go down in a blaze of glory. And he's like, nope. Although he may change his mind and I may end up on the slab. Nobody knows.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hopefully they keep that show going too. For later
who
seasons.
knows? Everybody's like, we'll see.
Oh, well, will you have any part in the one they just announced too? The prequel?
No, I don't think so. They're going to need a much younger version of me.
Well, won't they grow into it? Hopefully, everyone wants Ghost back.
Everyone wants Ghost back. I think I'm too old for that. I mean, I may show up as a grandmother, somewhere down the line.
Yeah.
But no, I hope they find somebody who has a lot of fun with the part as a young person.
Well, either way, they need closure for Tommy's mom, regardless. So you got to have a role in that.
I agree.
They can't just put you off in the distance.
I agree.
We'll keep getting all the power stars on here to voice their opinions on it. What was a role that you wanted but didn't get?
Oh my. Oh my. You know what? I burn them in my brain. There was, okay. I'll tell you something though. when I met my husband, he was directing. He was directing She Stoops to Conquer with Tova Feldshuh and Nathan Lane and E.G. Marshall and Kay Ballard. And there was a part of a second female. He'd seen everyone in New York. And I couldn't get theater auditions because my agents were trying to make money, doing soap. So I said, if you don't get me a theater audition, I am going to find other representation. So I go to this audition for my husband. And before I walk in the room, the casting director says to him, "This is a favor." And I read for him, and he started asking me questions and called me back and didn't give me the part. But after I left the first time, he turned to the casting director and said, "That's the girl I'm going to marry."
Oh, wow.
And I walked away. I was like, wow, I pictured us. And I ended up doing another play, which was better. But he came to see that, and that was it. And we've been together I've forgotten, I think almost 40 years.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Does he like Westport?
Loves it. He's British.
Oh, he's British?
Yeah, he's British.
Wow.
He loves anything out here.
What does he think about you playing Kate? Does he watch
loves
the show?
it. He's great. No,
Okay.
he watches it all the time. He's so sweet. He's like, I can't think of anyone else who could play that part.
Do you feel like an older demographic watches that show at all, or is it just a younger?
I don't know. I think it's mostly younger, The fan, well, this is a political discussion because I feel Stars does not respect the fan base because it is, I don't know, but they don't. It feels it. They don't know what they have. And it's a little upsetting sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, Stars is one of those networks where you have to subscribe to it if there's a specific thing you want to watch because the catalog's so small.
Right.
I know there's BMF, which is very popular right now, and then there's Power. But other than that, I wasn't going to subscribe to watch Spider-Man Homecoming, which was the only other big name. They have some movie ones because you could get those same ones on any other.
What else are they?
platform.
I'm trying to think. I mean, P-Valley, they haven't picked up yet, and I loved that show. Thought it was freaking brilliant.
I've heard of that too.
Oh, you really should see it. It's amazing. There's some great work on that show.
Yeah, I got to check that out.
Yeah, anyway.
Have you ever watched Banshee?
No.
So that was in prison. We watched that too because it's so much like Power, but it's different. It's about
Is the Scottish one?
I don't know if it's Scottish. It's this guy who's a burglar, goes to prison for 20 years, gets out, and then impersonates a cop in a town, a sheriff.
Wow.
It's a great series.
Wow.
It did about 5 seasons. I think it's on Amazon Prime now.
Okay.
Gotta check that out.
So Orange is the New Black, Power.
Yeah.
Banshee. What else was popular?
They loved the prison lockup shows, like After Prison, Love After Lockup, all those reality TV shows. Kardashians, they loved that. It was all reality TV, sports, and then those series. You wouldn't really see much of anything else other than that, which is it's shocking.
No movies?
So the prison would play movies Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Have ones that were still in theaters or had just come out.
Yeah.
And they would put those on play. But everyone kind of just liked the series because that you pass the most amount of time and you kind of fall in love with the characters and the individuals and that.
Wow.
So and I think the thing with Power too is it's relatable to everyone there. That was the biggest thing. You can relate to these individuals that are going through it on some level.
I don't know if you know, other than Shakespeare, but there's Jacobean tragedy. Did you ever study that when you were doing? Power is very much that. It's the Jacobean tragedy version of Shakespeare.
Okay.
More blood, more guts, more violence. And this was very popular back in the day, and it does. It reminds me very much of Revenge or Tragedy or some of the other more gruesome plays of yore.
I did a Midsummer Night's Dream.
Did you? Who'd you play?
King Oberon. Is that the name?
Of course.
Yeah.
You played Oberon, Lord Oberon.
Lord Oberon, yeah.
Nice.
That was when I was in Montessori school. I went to Hudson Country Montessori School in Danbury. And it was a class of 4th through 8th grade. There was 15 kids, all mixed in one.
Right.
And there's no chairs or anything. You're just sitting on the
Montessori
floor.
is very, yeah.
Yeah, I did that because my parents pulled me out when I was getting bullied, and I did that, and then I went back to public school for 7th grade so I can integrate.
How was that?
Integrating back in?
Yeah.
So I had some friends that were still I knew from my primary and elementary school days.
Right.
But I think I needed that to integrate into the high school. It would have been a lot harder to go from private to the high school.
Brutal.
It was brutal. I mean, that's what got me into trouble, high school at that setting, and that just kind of fueled everything. And I went to Danbury High School.
Danbury?
Yeah, Danbury High School. And it's one of the largest in the States.
Listen, I don't know if there's anywhere other than, like, I don't know. It's just hard. It's hard to be a kid right now.
Oh, I think it's harder than ever.
I totally agree.
Yeah, and just with social media and technology and just and the pressure. And I think that's where the downfall of the influencing world is, because people idolize these individuals, these influencers, and they go to extreme depths just to be like them.
I know.
And that, to me, is crazy. And I've met some influencers, and they're kind of nothing like what they portray on, like, what they're showing. It's just, I don't know, a lot of it's, like, kind of fake.
That's very weird.
Yeah.
Do you think, and I think this might actually happen, I think there's going to be a reversion to reality. I think people are going to get tired of everything being perfect. And we're going to go back to quirky and individual, and I hope.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that swing. Sorry. I'd like to see that swing back.
I think there's some, genuine, like, original people out there, and that's where they stand out, like, in the creator space.
Yep.
I think that's why I've had success in this, because it's different.
Yeah.
I just have ordinary people on the show, like individuals that have no platform. And I think that's the coolest thing.
I would see a couple of clips. The cat burglar one, too.
The New York Post picked it up, like all.
Okay, now here's what I don't understand, because she was talking about wanting to hit the houses that had the security sign.
Yeah.
What was her reasoning behind that again?
Because she knew what to expect. So she knew that the motion detectors were going to be off if they had a dog, and she knew what to go in, like how to deprogram it. Like, she knew that they had an alarm. Right. Whereas the ones that didn't have that, it was you didn't know if they had an alarm or not.
In.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So all the ones with the signs she would go for, but she just went viral.
Well, because people are fascinated by that kind of stuff. You get caught robbing a safe.
Yeah, now she's getting offers for TV shows.
No, that's hysterical.
Yeah, a lot. VH1 has one that she was just on, My True Crime Story with Rami Ma. There's all these crime and prison shows and everything like that. God. Do you watch anything like that at all?
No, although I did hear, the podcast that was really famous, the one about the murder.
Serial?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's one of the top podcasts in the world right now.
My husband listens to a lot of podcasts. Mm-hmm. But I tend to do more music when I'm working out.
Who's your favorite artist?
Who's my favorite musical artist?
Yeah.
My youngest son is a musician.
Oh.
He's, look up Tobias. He's on Spotify and Apple. But I'm really eclectic. I like a really wide variety of music. So if I do my Apple Music, it'll go from Sly and the Family Stone to Radiohead to Marvin Gaye to Drake to, I kind of...
Oh, you like Drake?
I do, actually.
That's
He's
so
good.
cool.
He's good. I kind of go all over the place.
Yeah. I first heard of Radiohead when I watched Twilight, because their song was featured at the end of...
Freaking brilliant.
Yeah, I wonder if that kind of helped them too, like their music in Twilight.
Sure.
That kind of blew it up too. But they were really good.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Now, I saw you were in Fletch Lives.
Yes.
And I bring that up because Chevy was on the show.
That's amazing.
He was sitting in that seat
back in
September. Who would have thought?
I know.
Chevy Chase of all people. And
world's nicest man. He's such a sweetheart.
And he was ripping me for going to prison. We have like a we have like a clip of him like he was he did like this, like you were dropping the soap at this and that in prison.
Oh, God.
And then his phone went off during the interview, so he was like, "Hello, who's this?" And it was like someone at his door on the Ring doorbell.
That's hysterical.
But he's great. He's the absolute
He's great. Is he still out in the Palisades?
Like
no,
in
don't tell me where he can. They were that, because when the last time I saw him, it was out in California, and Janie and the kids and all that.
Yeah, Janie's great too, and I've met his daughters as well. They're so awesome. What was that like working with him?
He was great, kind and generous, and a real gentleman.
So what's the difference between Fletch and Fletch Lives? Because I had to see...
Good question.
Yeah, I had to see Fletch before I interviewed him.
I know.
Because I'm kind of anti movies from so long ago, but
Yeah.
it was actually really good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
I don't know the difference.
Okay. So what, they're the same plot lines?
I have no idea.
Okay.
It was too long ago for me to remember.
Yeah.
I have no idea. But I do remember Fletch Lives is where his other love interest was Julianne Phillips, who was divorcing from Bruce Springsteen at the time. So there were all this paparazzi and crap in New Orleans. And Cleavon Little, who passed away really young, was also in the movie. I don't know if you remember.
In Fletch Lives?
In
or
Fletch Lives.
I never saw Fletch Lives.
He came in, he was teasing Chevy. Anyway, he was a sweet, funny man. But I ended up becoming a redhead because Julianne is a blonde.
Okay.
And so that was my first time I had to dye my hair. So it just sort of keeps coming back. I'm gonna have to become red in about 4 more weeks.
Yeah, you're kind of a red for Kate too, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm. Right now, I'm me.
Okay, all right. Do you like the red?
It's fun. I don't know if my life could stand the drama. It's too much drama.
How long do you think you'll continue acting and playing roles for? Like, do you actively audition?
Yeah.
Okay.
Auditioned for an NBC pilot the other day. Yeah. No, I'll just keep going until... We'll keep going until we can't. My husband developed a one-man show that he's now doing. He's going to be doing it in Armonk at the Katona Stage Company. He's doing that for a few nights in May. And then he's going out to Santa Monica and doing it. Then I'm going to Chicago in July to do the last 2 episodes of Force. And then he might be traveling to Sweden to do it in a festival. So we just sort of keep on keeping on.
Is the filming, is that for season 3 or season 4?
It's 3.
3. Oh, so they're still active.
Yeah, we're still at it. I think we're on 6 now.
Okay.
Something like that.
Do you go there when you're not in the actual episodes just to see what's going on?
No, although I don't. I have family in Chicago.
Okay.
I could, but no, I haven't been yet. But I'm looking forward to going back.
Yeah, that's very exciting.
Yeah.
So what do you say to like the people that are trying to make it in the acting career and that are trying to get into the entertainment business? What piece of advice would you give to them?
I think if you, this is all counterintuitive, but I think if you love what you do, someone will notice. I think that if you treat every opportunity as a chance to show someone what you can do, it will pay off down the line. Because very often actors, especially young, go in going, I need this job, I need this job, I need this job. And they forget that you're really not there to get a job. You're there to show them what you're going to do with that character to the best of your ability. And if they don't buy it, they don't buy it. Mm-hmm. But if you do a really great take or a really great job, they're going to remember you. And you will be right for something closer down the line. So that's the only thing that I would say. Don't treat it as an opportunity to act every audition you have.
Now, if we had your teenage self with us today, what advice would you give to her looking back on everything that's
Don't
transpired?
sweat the small stuff. Oh, my gosh. And my teenage self. You know what? I would tell my teenage self to stop being so damn hard on myself. Stop.
Do you think you were hard on yourself back then?
Oh, yeah.
And you think that had an effect on like those early years, being hard on yourself?
Yes, because it has to do with I'm not thin enough. I'm not blonde enough. I'm not whatever enough. It's not appreciating what you do have to offer enough.
Yeah.
You know? And you know that. You're young. And you think, why am I not farther along? Why am I not 10 pounds thinner? Why am I not... I don't know, whatever. And it's exhausting, and it's a waste of time.
And that applies back to the social media topic about when you look at other individuals, that's where, so I can't even imagine if that's how you felt back then when there wasn't there,
imagine?
How people feel now.
Can you imagine?
When there is. And even
I
when I was.
wear a bikini. You're 16, you should be wearing a bikini like 24/7.
Yeah, I know. I try not to, I try not to look at too many stories and I just,
Right.
because it can get toxic. When you're just going down that rabbit hole of seeing what everyone else is doing. And I just try to focus on what I'm doing.
Smart.
And everything just kind of falls into place. Because when you get all the comments and the the hateful comments.
Well,
and
that too,
it's a
man.
lot. Yeah,
They hurt.
they do.
They really do. Like, why can't you? And I thought, well, why do you have to even say anything? And why be a dick? Forgive me. You know?
Hey, but, I mean, it's honest.
God,
and
Jesus.
you just see that everyone has an opinion when it regards to something.
know.
And they like to put that out there, and people will spend, like, sometimes I see on YouTube, it'll tell you on, like, your insights, the same people that comment all the time, and you'll click on and you'll see the same guy say the same thing. Like,
and what's his issue?
You have nothing better to do than troll me.
Yeah.
And his biggest line is about that I'm in my parents' basement right now. Because they think with the staircase there, because I put up pictures that this is a basement.
Shame on
It
you.
kind of looks like a basement, but
Wow.
Yeah.
And you know what, really, dude? Really?
yeah, we're not in a basement though.
Wow.
I know. But Patricia, thank you so much for coming on
Thank you for
today.
having me.
Yeah,
It
this was
such a pleasure.
incredible. Yeah.
Thank you.
And definitely stay in touch and share the cooking books
Yes.
and connect with my dad. I think
want to
he'll
know.
love this.
I'm actually going to talk to him when we get out there. I want to find out like what his go-to dish is.
Yeah, he told my mom last night you were coming on, and she reacted just as much as she did when I told her Chevy was coming on.
Oh, but because we're old school.
Because she saw that show, the 30-something. Because
We are old school.
her family doesn't really understand what I do because like people don't see this as a career. So
okay.
when I have actors, actresses, people that they know from their childhood,
Yeah, it's going to help you for Thanksgiving.
yeah, then they're like, oh, this makes sense, you know, like this is something.
Wow.
And that's what like Chevy did. He opened up that door for all of that.
Well, I'm happy to do that for you.
Well, yeah, it's been great. And thank you to Shelley for connecting us.